1-minute Chaturanga tutorial. And I'm so excited to offer this to you because of all the poses out there, I think Chaturanga is the one pose that I think we can all work on a little bit. So I'm really excited to offer this to you. All you'll need for a Chaturanga tutorial is if you have blocks, you can have them handy just in case you want to use them, and then maybe a blanket for your knees. So we moved into Chaturanga from our plank pose. So that's what I really want us to start on, having a nice solid plank, because once you have a nice solid plank, there's not much that changes once we come into Chaturanga. So let's start on our hands and our knees. Let's start on our knees. Take your blanket, and if it's hurt your knees to have your blanket on the hard floor, you can have your blanket folded underneath you. Good. Come up onto your knees, and then just take your arms out in front of you to start. So just pretend that you're in your plank pose. Spread the fingers out wide, strong and straight through the arms, right? And then notice this middle part of the body. So what we are working away from in your plank is kind of like this sagging, like letting go of the belly, sticking the butt out and up. I want you to start all the way from the knees. So firming through the legs, little lift of the quadricep. If you have a block, take the block between the thighs and squeeze it on the block. Right? So even in Chaturanga and plank, we make the legs do some work. Once your legs feel nice and strong, notice if the pelvis is tilted really far forward or really far back. Right? You want it to be in the middle, neutral. Okay? So you can kind of play tipping it forward, tipping it back. If you have a mirror, you can check yourself out in the mirror. Make sure the pelvis is neutral. From there, lift your navel toward your heart. Right? And it's something that you have to work on over time. It's not something you just get right away, but it is this engagement through the muscles along the center of the body to lift navel up towards heart. Right? And it should feel like some effort as you do that. Right? Check back in, work the legs again if you've lost that. Grow as long as you can through the spine. And if your shoulders naturally come forward like this, take the shoulders back and broaden across the collarbones. And see if you can hold all of that. Take the arms back out, strong and straight through the arms. Right? So this is your plank. Right? So when you're ready, go ahead. Now you're going to come onto your hands and your knees. You can keep that block between the thighs if you're using it. If you're not using it, just pretend you have the block. Right? To always remember to make the legs do some of the work. Make the core do some of the work. Your wrists are underneath your shoulders approximately, and you'll find a really sweet place for you. You can adjust to see what feels good, but I just don't want the hands too far forward, right, or too far back, right? So you want the wrists about under the shoulders, fingers spread wide, palms and knuckles pressing down, and then check back in, lifting your navel towards heart. So you want this strong place to begin with. Take a few nice full deep breaths here. Allow the neck to be an extension of the spine, and see if you can keep lifting navel towards heart while maintaining your neutral pelvis. Are you warmed up yet? Let's take one more breath together. And release. Whew, go ahead and come all the way back, and you can have a seat on the mat for a moment. And then I'll do the work and you can follow along in a second, but watch me once first. So Chaturanga is not a transition, it is a pose that you hold. All right, so we're gonna start in our plank. You still watch me. Find your nice strong plank. Make sure your shoulders aren't doing it all, right? Make your belly, make your legs do some of the work. Once you find your nice strong plank, this is what you're going to do. You're going to bend your elbows towards the back of your mat. And it's a little bend. I don't want you to go very far. Keep the collarbones broad, keep the navel lifting towards heart, and little pause. This is your Chaturanga. And you're going to press back up. And then move back and relax. So that's what you're going to do. Let's try it. Let's do that together. Okay? So you're going to come onto your plank, find your nice strong plank. If you want to squeeze the block between the thighs, you're welcome to. Wrists are approximately underneath the shoulders, pressing the whole hand down. So let's all find that nice and strong plank here. And then see if you can do that as you broaden the collarbones. Bend your elbows towards the back of your mat, not out to the side, towards the back. It's a little bend. and then press all the way back up. Good, and release. Good. And then you get to relax again. So what I want to show you is some of the things that I want you to move away from doing, okay? And I see this quite a bit. Okay, so here I am in my plank, and instead of being really strong, I'm relaxing. Hopefully you can see the difference. Right, so we're moving away from that, and then folks do this in Chaturanga, so then they bend the elbows and kind of slither down, right? So that's what we're moving away from. All right, so this time I want you to draw special attention to firming the whole body. Make sure you're not sinking into the shoulders, releasing the belly, really strong. Take an inhale, and join me here. Exhale, bend the elbows. It's a little bend in the elbows. I don't want the shoulders to dip below the elbows. And then press all the way back up, strong belly, and go ahead and release, and relax. And then when you're doing all this work with plank and chaturanga, it's nice to have some wrist relief. So go ahead and bring your thumbs in and fingers over and just take some little circles here. And that should feel good. And then take it the other way. Now you sit and watch one more time. I'm going to show you one more thing that I see all the time, but I want you to move away from doing this. So I'm going to come into my plank on knees. And I think it's best to practice all of this plank on knees first. Watch my shoulders now, chaturanga. Look at how low I'm dipping my shoulders compared to my elbows, right? So I want you to move away from this. And I'm going to come back out, okay? So just want you to make sure that you're not doing that, especially repeatedly. When you take a vinyasa practice, say you do a practice 4 times a week, you're doing many, many chaturangas. And if you keep dipping the shoulders really low, not using the strength of the core, sometimes you end up sitting in this connective tissue here and not using your muscles. And sometimes that can cause shoulder issues over time. Okay, so let's try again. So coming onto your knees, find your nice strong plank. Take a nice big inhale here. And exhale, little bend in the elbows. Notice how the shoulders aren't going below the elbows. This is a pose, holding, and then straighten back up, and then push up and back. Good, and relax. So now let's try, for those of you who want to do the full variation of chaturanga, and not all of you are going to want to do that. I'd say if your form is much better with knees down, stay with knees down. And you can stay with knees down your whole life if that works better for you. I really want you to have good form. But if you want to try it, go ahead and try this with me. We'll take full plank. Spread the fingers wide. Pretend the block is between the thighs, or if you have a block, go ahead and squeeze the block. Find your nice strong plank. So starting with the legs again, squeezing in strong with the legs. Find your neutral pelvis as you lift your navel towards your heart. Broaden your collarbones. Take an inhale, and then find your chaturanga. Bend the elbows towards the back of the room. It's a small bend. Press all the way back up. Good, and bring the knees down, and all the way back. All right, you did it. So what I encourage you to do is maybe record yourself, right? Especially those of you that are doing the 14-day challenge right now. Record yourself, watch the shoulders, watch the elbows, make sure the elbows aren't going out to the side, and make sure you look strong in your posture. Keep practicing with the knees down as long as you'd like, and know it's always okay to do that. Once we're all back in the studio, please come see me if you want to get back to foundations. I have a 4-week foundational series where I get to work with you in a really small group, and I look at you in each and every pose. Come visit me on Saturdays at 11 o'clock. I'd love to see you for level 1 as well.